Hello, sock lovers. We are now at part 3, which is our last part for our easy toe up sock knit along, long word. Um, and we're at the cuff. That is always the best part for the toe ups because once you're there, you know that your sock is almost finished. However, many of the cuffs can be tight, so I'll show you 2 different ways of giving you a very elasticy bind off, and I'll give you some ideas if you don't need quite as much elastic on it. The the sock along will go until December 2024. I'll leave up the coupon code that you can use on Ravelry to buy the heel chart and all of the numbers for any weight, either fingering, sport, or heavy worsted or DK. I'll leave that coupon code up until December, so you can buy it for $2 instead of $5. And I did want to give you one little tip. All of these sock techniques that you're learning, whether it is from my video or other people's videos or through patterns that you have purchased, there are always some techniques that either fit you better than another or that you like knitting better than any other. So I want you to know that in any pattern that you buy, you can always substitute your own toes. Maybe you don't like the wedge toe. Maybe you would love to have a barn toe. Or maybe you like to knit top down, but you want to have the short row heel. You can change anything about these patterns that work for your feet or that work the way that you like them to be. I did buy when the book, the 52 weeks of sock patterns, came out, and it's been out now for a year or two. When that was in preprint, Amazon Canada had them for $20 if you ordered them as a pre-order, which I did. And I was thinking, as I was getting this video ready to go, I was thinking there's so many beautiful patterns. And then that made me think of the 52 weeks of socks, because many different designers from all over the world have participated in writing this book. And if you're interested in having it, I checked this morning and it is still on the Canadian Amazon for $20, which is a really good price for that book. So have a look and see what you think about it. What else did I want to say before we get into the tips and the instructions? Nothing, I guess. If your feet are not swollen or you don't need a super elastic bind off, a regular bind off might work for you. However, on the toe-up socks, the problem is always that the sock has to get over the biggest part of your foot. And the biggest part of your foot is actually from the heel bit to the top of your foot. And if it is not stretchy enough, it will actually not go past this point. So many knitters, even though the sock is beautiful, they can't get their foot in it. But then, of course, there are people that have additional problems, like, for example, the feet swell a lot, or they're super sensitive to anything on the foot that you might or might not come across. If you just need a little bit of extra elasticity, one of the ways that you can work the different cuff is that you do the whole cuff in one whole size up or half a size up, whatever it is that your foot needs. So these socks here are knitted with 2.25 millimeter. So you can try the cuff with 2.75 and bind off maybe with 3.25, or you can knit the whole cuff with a 3.25 or a 3.5 and then bind off. That might give you enough of a stretch that the sock doesn't bag out, but it also stays where it needs to be. Plus you can get it over this part. However, if you have any other issues, like I have, and lots of other knitters actually, you might need just a little bit more. So I'll show you two of my go-tos. I like one more than the other. The one is, this here is the Icelandic bind off, and you can see that it stops here, but it is quite elastic. However, on my foot I can still feel that tension is there, and it bothers my foot even though it's not tight or anything. It just knows it's there and it bothers me. The other bind off is bind off 2 through the back loop, and this is as elastic as your stitches can pull. As you can see, and I've pulled this now 50 million times, your cuff actually will look like this when you have finished knitting them. So you do get a little bit of a flare. However, when it is on the foot, it'll look like this, and there is no flare at all. So you can't see the flare there. One more thing that I did want to mention before I get into the instructions on how to do these. If you want to have a clean transition between your ribbing, just knit just knit one row of knit stitches with the color of the cuff. So here you can barely see it, but it stops from giving you, what did I do here? So here I didn't do it, and you can see that the color shows up in the rib here, where if I would have knitted one round even, just knits in this green here, I would have had a clean transition. Which I did on this sock here. So here I must have remembered to do this, and here I did not. So if you want to see how these two different bind offs are done, and how to clean up any holes if you do have them in the sock, I'll show that at the end of the video there. Stay tuned and I will show you that next. In sample 1, I have made just a little swatch, and of course the 2x2 rib is more elastic than the 1x1 rib. So I will show you the Icelandic bind off first, which is, by the way, these are prim needles. They have a little teardrop at the end, otherwise the DPNs are the same as any others. They do make it easier for people with arthritis or whatnot to get into the stitches. So you go into the, we actually want to knit this guy, always the second one. So we go through the first one as if to knit, enter the second stitch as if to knit, and knit it and pop it off. Put the stitch back onto the needle. You don't even need it back out, but if you do, you go in as if to purl. You enter it as if to purl, and you enter the second stitch as if to knit. You can hold your stitches with your thumb so that they don't pop off, and you can work quite a rhythm. So put it back on the needle, go into the second stitch as if to knit, get the yarn, pull it through, pop it off, and you will do that until your last stitch. Oops, sorry, I made the mistake of looking through the camera. There we go. Put it back on, knit the second one, pop it back on, knit through the second one, and this does not need to be knitted extremely tight. As a matter of fact, you can see that I knit mine rather loose. Knit the second one, put it back, knit the second one. I just have a couple more stitches there to show you. I'm very sorry that I have the fan on. I hope that when I play it back, it'll be okay. But it is a heat wave right now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning and it's already 31 degrees Celsius. So it is a hot day today. Okay. And we knit that right to the last stitch. And then we can pull this through. There we go. And you can see that the top is almost a little bit braided. It has a very nice finish on it, and it is quite elastic. So let me show you the bind off 2 through the back loop in a different color here. I'm using the same prim needles. And this is just the way that it sounds. You bind off 2 and you knit them off through the back loop. Knit them, put this one back on the needle, and again knit them off through the back loop. Put it back on the needle, knit them off through the back loop. Put them back, knit them off through the back loop. Lower this a little bit so that you can see it better. So you can see, you can try them on each sock and see which one you like better. They're both quite elastic, even though I have to say the one through the back loop is my preferred method. It doesn't restrict my foot at all, as I have sensitivities as well as swelling. So I do prefer this one because I don't feel any restrictions at all. There we go, we're already at the end. I will break the yarn. This method bind off looks like a knitted bind off. It does have a little bit of a flare like I showed you earlier, and as you can see, it goes into infinity and beyond, really. But this one does have a stopper. This one here does not. So choose the one that you would like to use, and when we have finished, I have already finished on mine and cleaned up all of the threads. Once you have finished your last stitch and you pull the yarn through the last one. So this here is my last, sorry, this here is the last stitch. Let me see actually if I can pop it up a bit further. There we go. This here is my last stitch right here. So I just go through the first stitch underneath both legs of the V, and I pull this yarn through. And as you can see, that the stitch comes actually out of the V in the top. So I just pop it back into that V and pull it closed, and you will have your invisible round. And then you just clean up your yarn the way you normally do. There was one other thing that I wanted to address. So you can see there is no holes on the short rows with the invisible lifts. or the shadow wrap or twin stitch, or whichever way you want to call it. This here is the sock with the yarn over. So you can see this side here is fine. However, I'm not really sure what I did on this side here, but I did get a bit of a hole. So I put it, sorry, I'll put all of this away so that you can see better. Here is the hole, and you can see that. So the way that we're going to do this, I already cleaned up the yarn threads in there, and it was on the wrong side anyways, which of course that is Murphy's Law. So I'm going to clean it up from the outside so that you can see actually how I'm doing this, and I'll put it back to this way. Here is the hole that I want to clean up. So I'll go in here, anywhere in here, and I bring out my yarn. Leave a little tail hanging out. And now I'm going to mimic the V that comes up when I actually knit. So I'm grabbing this guy here, and I want to make sure that I get at least two legs from somewhere, or two threads, and I just mimic a knit stitch. So just me pulling this together, the hole is gone. So I will go into the same hole as I had here, and I'll come out on some other side. Oops. Bring this back. Because it didn't close the hole. And you will find that sometimes, so just bring the thread back. I'll put it in here instead because I want it to be crossed tidier. There we go. So here I just mimicked one stitch and my hole is gone. Now I can turn the threads to the inside and clean them all up. And there is your beautiful sock in any size yarn, in any shape. These I knitted with mohair in the bottom of the sock because my feet suffer from Raynaud syndrome, so they're often quite cold. And then the top of the sock I just knitted regular, and this is done with 2.25 needle. So have a look and see which of these bind offs work the best for you. Leave me a comment, a like, and a share if you enjoyed this knit along video series, and I will see you next time. You have a fantastic day, and the knit along will be the codes for the if you wanted to print the knit along sheets. The codes will be active until December 2024, where you can purchase the instructions and the sheet for $2 instead of $5 Canadian. So I wish you a wonderful day. Stay cool and hydrated, and we'll talk next time.